Okay, we have. I'm not gonna tell you how much we have.
All right, so basically the idea, Alex, is within our first couple of podcasts is to keep things very simple, right? Because if we get complex, we might lose the big idea, right? So just the things that you've been talking about and the things that you've been describing, overall, it's just hormones are signal makers that are very important for the body. And those signal makers have been there basically to help us survive. But when we don't have them balanced, we suffer through a lot of problems.
We have dysfunctions.
We have dysfunctions, right? Including your mood, including your libido, including weight gain, including your sleep, including everything, all the things that obviously help us manifest a healthy lifestyle, right?
Exactly.
So, within this first podcast, we definitely want to get our clients, individuals that are interested, to leave us questions. We do test here for hormones, right? The idea to test for them is because if we find some deficiencies, then correcting those deficiencies basically help what we always talk about, the GPS. If the GPS works well, then
it helps us to navigate you, and it helps you to navigate your biome, your ecosystem. So you become more optimal at the end. That's what we're looking for. And at the same time, like if we do find a dysfunction, and it's a dysfunction that it's where we have to refer you to someone that's much more specialized in the field, and we'll do that too, because we've had a lot of those circumstances come up and where clients come in for weight loss, and we let them know, like, no, weight loss is not the issue at this point. You have to get this dysfunction, resolved before we can get into the weight loss issue, because you'll never be able to lose the kind of weight that you're looking for.
Exactly. Before we can help you correct those things, you have some big emergency
that needs to be addressed. And then a lot of them are surprised because they didn't even realize that they were walking around with this, or they thought it was something else that was going on.
Absolutely. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of an example is, clients that have problem with the thyroid, one of the worst mistakes they can make is lowering their calorie intake. But obviously it depends on what calories they're intaking, what type of calories or what type of foods they're eating. But how many people do we know that don't even know, or they know they have a thyroid problem, but yet they go with this calorie deficient type of protocols?
Yeah, you decrease the metabolic rate, and therefore you just don't have that engine. It's like the engine is running on nothing. So how do you expect this car to run?
Sure. The thyroid cannot convert hormone properly. You have a lot of issues. Same thing happens with a lot of clients that have adrenal gland problems, right?
Right.
They're pounding their adrenal glands even more, knowing that they have to rest them so they can produce those hormones that keep them out of stress, like cortisol. They
start to have weight loss resistance.
They begin to have weight loss resistance. So overall, hormones are very, very, very important. And I always tell clients there's certain things that you can just kind of tell that are not being efficient in your body. You don't have to test. You can kind of know.
Hormones allow our cells to communicate with each other. So when it's like you're having a conversation with a friend, a spouse, a boyfriend, wherever you are, right? And you're saying one thing, but they're hearing another thing. You're like, oh my God, what's going on? I keep on telling you the same thing, but the person is doing something else. It's the same way hormones react. So if that message is not being received, or a dysfunctional message is being received by the cell, the behavior is either going to be something that you don't want, another expression, or the system is completely chaotic and there is no expression.
Absolutely. And it's so promising, the things that we're finding when you balance out hormones. One of the things you are looking at is this big research you're doing on post-traumatic stress, on depression, anxiety, and a lot of patients that are going through this process where they're correcting the hormones, and what's going on? Those symptoms are going away.
And I think one of the points that we have to kind of really reinforce is this. As you get older, yes, your hormones start to, you start to decrease. That's the process of aging. But it doesn't have to stay that way. You don't need to feel in this place where I just feel like, this place disparity, you're just not optimal, you're like, what happened to me? I'm not the same person I was before. There's a lot of therapies out there that can optimize that, and where, yes, you're older, you're mature, you're much more mature than you were when you're in your 20s, but you still feel great, right? Being old does not mean we feel bad. Being old means that we feel better. It's like that I guess that was saying, it's like fine wine. It has to get better. It cannot get worse. It has to get better.
And now we have so many tools that can help us. So when we do a protocol here, and a lot of our protocols in Fitandtrim Medical do include a hormone therapy. Why? Because if, like you said, if we fix the signal makers, if we fix the communication, then the body understands what it needs to do at that point.
Exactly.
And the efficiency that you're looking for. So
exactly.
Overall, guys that are listening to the podcast, and I hope you enjoyed our first podcast, hormones have complexity to them, but in reality, just always think of them as the communication of your body. And when it comes to weight loss, they are key. They are super important. And knowing what are you manifesting or what deficiencies you might have as far as hormones is concerned can give you the upper hand when it comes to having an optimal life. Okay? Now, me and you always talk about this. And we see it a lot in relationships. As someone gets married, they kind of get in this comfortable spot. When they start eating bad, they start suppressing a lot of their good hormones. Because as they gain weight, the hormones that keep them healthy, that keep them young, that keeps them outgoing, they get suppressed.
I guess simply put, they go into a state of chronic inflammation, because weight gain is a state of chronic inflammation. So the body is under stress. It has to be able to carry this excessive amount of weight. The cells have to work harder to be able to manage this excessive kind of weight. So again, we put this body into overdrive. So therefore, in order to do that, there are some things that get left to the side. And sometimes it's some very crucial hormones, maybe libido, right? So that's a big thing.
One of the things I always talk about is testosterone. If you are, let's say, and I'll give this example. Say you get married, you got kids, you get comfortable, you don't treat your body appropriately, testosterone gets depleted, which is the hormone that keeps a lot of the guys outgoing, motivated, keeps them, lean muscle, good bone density. It keeps them, it's a neurosteroid, keeps the brain working efficiently. So I guess the message is also that no matter what stage of life you're going through, you definitely want to keep those hormones optimal.
And just like, so remember, it's just not the low of the hormone. So he said low testosterone. There's also estrogen dominance that also in women can decrease libido, which is known to decrease libido. So it's not, again, finding that balance, not finding that homeostasis. Our body loves to be in balance. So we always have to look for that place where we are optimal.
There you go. All right, guys. So Alexander Joseph, Rick Mejia, our first podcast, talking a little bit about hormones. Guys, hope you guys enjoy it. I think the more we learn about hormones, the more we understand how important they are, especially for weight loss, for well-being, even for personality. I can tell you that if you as I've tested myself all the time, I'm always keeping my hormones in balance. There's a time when my testosterone dropped a little bit, I got it up, and you can kind of feel the difference in your mood, the way your energy levels, the way you kind of feel. I know people say, no, you're only supposed to check your testosterone when you're like 40, 50 years old. That's not true. Now we know that, after 30 years old, your testosterone can start depleting very fast.
Exactly.
And for women, of course, it's estrogen.
Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. We
pregnenolone.
Pregnenolone, the mother of all hormones that no one ever speaks about.
When we look at cholesterol, one of the main things Alexandra looks at in cholesterol is what type of cholesterol you are producing. Because if you don't have the precursor for all these hormones, which is what? Cholesterol. Guess what? You're going to be in a lot of problems. You're going to be in a lot of trouble.
You have deficiencies.
So, all right. So we're going to wrap this podcast up, and hope you guys enjoy it. And
with
hopefully
lots of fun.
Hopefully there's many more.
All right.
Boom. Wrapped. 20 million views.